Hey guys, hopefully you're doing great. Just wanted to draw something out, something that I was feeling for a long time. Well, I've been drawing, but not recently being uploading, and yeah, seems like the channel's been pretty much dead. So just thought about making a video or so. If anyone's still subscribed, then hey, you're an OG. But yeah, just wanted to record something out. So I drew this piece, quite complicated and complex. Didn't know what I was getting into, didn't know what I wanted to draw. It was just a blank page. And it's been quite a long time since I actually picked up a color pencil. As you already know from my previous video, if you ever watched it, I quite get intimidated by coloring because coloring is something that I've never done. Well, obviously on this channel I don't upload anything else but coloring recently because I started this channel as a challenge to myself to, start getting into colors and stuff. And yeah, it's a big challenge for me because I've always drawn something like dot art or something black and white or just shading with pencils and stuff. So yeah, that's that. And quite recently, I haven't been trying it as much. Like that art block thing. You get busy and stuff. But anyhow, I was having those imaginary juices and stuff, and I just wanted to let them out. So yeah, this piece is that. I'm actually quite happy how it turned out. So it's a very different type of a emotion that I was going through. Just something I remember from the past. So being an introvert for like almost my entire life, or now 27 years of my life, being an introvert, it's just you feel things like on a whole different dimension, like a whole different, like I don't know, spectrum level. I have no clue how to define it, but sometimes it's really challenging to define like exactly what your demeanor is and why you are the way you are sometimes. It's just like you interact with someone and then suddenly you just hide from sight. You just get, frustrated, you just want to be alone. You stay alone for like weeks, months, even like several months sometimes. You just disappear. You come back energetic and stuff. And it's quite a weird experience. Some things I've learned, some things I've been doing and been off because I've been building. And yeah, some things that I've been learning throughout the process. The biggest hardship is a lot of people would take advantage of your situation the way you are. Now, this picture, this drawing, to be honest, I don't know why it's a picture. This drawing specifically recognizes a lot of those flaws, a lot of those successes, and all of those things that I was going through. I want to draw like like a part two of this drawing because it's not totally the finished picture. Like it's something that I wanted to do, but I had more ideas later on, but I just didn't think it would fit best for this specific one. No, this is not by far anything great. I do need to change my camera stuff, but yeah, but it turned out really nice. So like I was saying, sometimes it's difficult being an introvert because you lack communication. You've had like some experiences in life. Won't go in detail, but you have traumas, right? That just adds on to your social anxiety and being an introvert. Sometimes you turn out an introvert because of those traumas. Sometimes you're naturally an introvert. Hey, I don't judge. So in my case, it's multitude of those things. It's hard to just, imagine trusting someone in your position, and it's difficult to make other people understand who are like more communicative, more socially, winning, and to tell them that it's quite literally difficult for you to do the same. It turns out to be some sort of like disrespect or something that would seem rude. Technically, it's not something that we can control or I can control. I can say it for myself. It's just that so many years, so many experiences. Not going in detail, but it just led to your mind trying to shut down from everyone else. The biggest thing I had, like a security mechanism, was to just sleep off all the problems. It's not a solution, but it worked out for the majority of my life, and there was no, financial issues or anything. But when you grow up, of course, you have responsibilities. You need to give it out there and stuff. But it's difficult. Your entire life goes on with you just drawing in a room, alone, cut off. You enjoy it fairly enough. Art becomes an escape, so does sleeping. But art definitely becomes one of those escapes that gives you purpose because it ends up somewhere. It gives you an output, it gives you a finished product that makes you feel like it accomplished something. Maybe not for anyone else, but it accomplished something for you, for me. It's something that Doesn't have to fit in the definition of being perfect, good, anything. It's just something that you do and you're happy with it. It's one of those things that really gave me a sense of recognition, a sense of familiarity. And going in more detail with familiarity is something that was lacking. When you start your journey as a mature person and you get into all these life stuff and you need to understand that now it's the time that you need to communicate with people because that's how the world works. You make connections. Those connections lead to different perspectives. Those perspectives and relations help you get forward or initially make resources. It's difficult because you don't know how to do it. The best way I can explain is that you just don't know how to do it, even though it might seem like that's impossible. As humans, we're social creatures, but everyone has a different nature, I would say. It's hard to judge someone, even though I do agree it's important to like communicate and stuff, but it's hard to judge someone with a mental drawback or disability to do so. So, coming into this life phase and trying to understand that now that we are here, we need to communicate, we need to trust, we need to start building and doing all those things. It's a first experience. Technically speaking, for myself personally, I would say that I've never had a connection deep enough that I would say that I considered familiar or investing my entire emotions to, because I never gave myself into trusting anyone. When I had to was a preconditioned situation where I was asked to do so. I had no other choice but to do so. Simple terms, I don't want to go deep into that explanation, what type of scenario, but I would just say that it's a worldly thing, happens with everyone, we all have to do it. So it's that type of situation. You have to trust someone to actually gain something. Now that's another factor that I learned throughout this journey is that you won't get anything unless you give back something. In this world, everything works on a usage basis. And once you run out of that usage or compensation, so does the relations in a lot of cases. At least for me, it's rare. If you have a good friend, if you have a good relation, if you have a good connection, it's worth appreciating it for once in a while, or maybe more than we consider too. World's becoming quite fake. A lot of things are becoming quite fake. No one really owes you anything, no one cares. And yeah, you have to work alone and you have to build alone. A lot of cases, if that's the situation, or maybe in mature times, you understand when you're going through tough times that, well, from I can't speak from my experience, but from my friends' experience, that when those tough times come, there really rarely anyone there to help them out. I make sure to be that person that's out there, but even me, I would consider sometimes wouldn't be able to fulfill what someone else would need, even though I would want to. But that's not enough. Not enough in a sense that other person's going through some issues and you just can't help, and they expected that you may be able to help. And some might even go to a very confident level that this person would help, but you couldn't. It's improving yourself, I would say, improving like who you are, and when you get those resources in a very privileged place, that you'll be able to help everyone else. I think that's what humanly success is, to be very honest. Going through this experience, like major experiences, what I've learned, investing in people, but recognizing your own self-worth, recognizing that where you fit doesn't always means is the place that you where you want to fit. It specifically doesn't has to be that place. Sometimes you just want that familiarity and those connections, that you try to seek them in the very wrong places, where obviously by just definition speaks, but well, definition speaks for that place. It's a place where you should never seek those things out, but you couldn't do it. You left yourself vulnerable and you tried to build connections like that, even though everyone's forced in that condition to be friendly as they can. And you never judged anyone because you never thought anyone would actually, do anything wrong, because you think in a mindset where you're very much, I don't know, walled in. So it's very hard for you to believe that someone can do something as, you know, problematic or, I don't know, political as that. What I'm saying is that I know it's like all over the place, this video, but it's just emotions and babbling and what I feel. They mentor you, they befriend you, they spend a lot of years with you. You start to communicate with them, they even become your idols in a sense that you start to see that their vision may be something that you might vision yourself as being in as too. And slowly, when they start to realize that you're about to surpass them or take their authority or space, when any other good person would seek that as a accomplishment, a mentor's dream for their student to actually be in that space, they would consider it as an act of disrespect. It's where you start to see the faces and the masks coming off. You start seeing bare bone. You start seeing the bare soul. The color's different. It's not the same as you expected. It may even be a bit more darker than you saw before because they hid it too well. Then you start realizing maybe there's an issue. Maybe you're being manipulated and maybe you're being overworked for your needs. And those needs are communication. Your needs are connection and they're being used. They know your vulnerabilities, they know how to use you, they know how to, take that mechanism in you. And they found it. Once you start realizing it and they know very well that the tactics are going loose and they have a fear that they might see you with a tongue. They might see you questioning. They might even see you surpassing them in their own arts. They start to realize that this may be a threat, a danger. For what you thought were your own people, your friends, or even family, they start showing the real parts of life, the real part of life. That one portion of humanity that maybe, if you wouldn't know, it would have been really better is that humans are very selfish. Humans are really selfish, regardless of what disability or, I don't know, disadvantage you may have. The moment another person would get a chance to manipulate it for their own gain, they would do so. That's the entire reason. You start to take this in the wrong way, at least for myself. I thought maybe the problem wasn't them, it was technically me. You're still trying to find ways to, satisfy your needs, satisfy that maybe I'm the one who's wrong. It couldn't be possible that these people are wrong. Then you try to convince yourself maybe I didn't do good. Maybe I need to prove myself because that's all you've done in your entire life. Prove yourself. Even though you've accomplished great things, but it's not enough unless you get recognition. And that was the worst thing. You didn't need recognition from anyone. You don't need recognition from everyone. You just need to be you, to be honest. You sought out that recognition, even though you surpassed them in other fields, in other spaces, parts where they tried to, block you so that you would never enter. Those places started screaming you without even asking for entrance. You were there. You were beyond there. You were above there. That's where this picture comes into play. You're sitting on that throne, what you perceive as being success. That throne seems to be just an empty rock. You're sitting there with your weapons down. You have no strength to fight because what you thought was success, what would fulfill you, does not fulfill you. You start to realize this isn't your dream. You are fighting for someone else's dream. Even though you surpass them, you actually turn into them. You were just trying to show them that you're greater. Maybe in the start you were trying to tell them you were worth it, but now you're saying that you're quite greater than they are. And you're technically accomplishing what they wanted to accomplish. Yes, somewhat you were respected by a few. Some of them wanted even more friendships with you to get access to the resources and stuff. So, what really is success at that point? You really didn't accomplish anything you wanted to. You actually knew in each step what you wanted to. And that's what I've learned. Even when I was taking all those steps that I did to get through this point, because a lot of people would consider this success, and I'm grateful for it. What I can't explain right now, it's for another video, for another art piece, but you start to realize that this isn't what you need to invest in, maybe. Even though this is amazing, but I do realize one thing. These resources can be used for the actual endpoint, the actual point of success. Success isn't pretty much defined, doesn't have a straight definition. What would perfect even be if something wasn't imperfect? perfect would not have a definition if something wasn't imperfect. So it's definitely a word that is there. Perfect doesn't define what perfect actually is, what 100% is. It's definitely something we humans put up. So nothing has to be perfect, nothing can be perfect. It has to be imperfect to be perfect. And you decide when it's perfect, when you stop looking at the imperfections on a stage. Technically, like we artists do, we draw something and then after a few time, for a few days after looking at it, we start to see the imperfections to a point that we just want to disregard the entire piece at that point. But that's exactly what it is. So yeah, that's what I've learned. Maybe the next time we talk, it would be in a place where I'm studying of something that I think is success for me. Maybe not success, but something that I would consider working towards, a path that I've seen, a path that I discovered, a path that I'm confident of. Maybe there would be another art piece for that. But I mean, well, this is it. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, hopefully, like guys like this. So let me know in the comments down below that what do you think I can improve, and yeah, it's a journey going with you guys throughout, and we'll see how we improve on the coloring stuff, and I'll make some videos on other mediums as well. But yeah, try to integrate some other uh pieces of art stuff, stationery. I don't know what to say, but yeah, I used a glass pen. I used like a gold marker, and yeah, used ink. So let me know. What do you think? Thanks for watching. Bye bye. I'll let you enjoy the rest of the video.